Sorry for that delay, cats and kittens and non-binary felines. We apologize profusely that we started a couple of minutes late. We didn't seem to stream right away, so we're streaming now. We're streaming healthfully. We're streaming all gold. So welcome to the Social Justice Power Hour. Welcome to the virtual headquarters of the Bye-Russin Center for Social Justice. Good evening to our friends on the East Coast. Good afternoon to our friends on the West Coast, and good in-between time to our friends in the in-between spaces, which we all find ourselves more and more these days. Thrilled about tonight's show. We have Jill Twiss with us, children's book author, comedian, comic, multiple award winner, been in the room, and very excited to talk with her about all her experiences. And honestly, I'll tell you, when we bring her on, we've been chasing after Jill for a long time, so we're thrilled to have her with us and to be building community together. So welcome to the show, everybody. I want to say that first and foremost, the shirt I am wearing tonight with the wonderful Vote embroidery was done by our wonderful craftivist, Kyle Burkhart, who has done so many things for our community, who we are working with on this program. As many of you know, if you're joining us for the first time, we're doing Get Out the Vote postcards. Kyle designed these. She put these flowers, arranged them on her lawn, and then took pictures and actually printed out hundreds of postcards. And we are giving them out free of charge, with stamps, with instructions. It couldn't be easier, it couldn't be freer, and it couldn't be more empowering. It's a really important thing to do, and it's a really beautiful way to do it. So please let us know. You can also reach out to Kyle. She is known as Vacuuming the Lawn on Instagram. Again, that is Vacuuming the Lawn on Instagram. These are beautiful postcards, and I highly encourage you to do this simple task that will be really, really extraordinarily important. And as always, Chris, our volunteer extraordinaire, is in the comments section giving you all the links and all the information you need. The 411 is right there for all y'all. Thank you, Chris, for all the work you do for us. And thank you to our community for being informed and empowered by the information Chris gives us. This is where you can find everything you need to be a part of the postcards. And Cynthia says she did 10 today. That's 2 packs. Thank you, Cynthia, for what you did and what we all do. And because we started late, let me get really quick into it because I want to talk to Jill so badly. I'm very excited, but let's talk about another Jill that'll be with us tomorrow night. Jill Sobule will be with us. This is a wonderful bit of serendipity. Jill was going to be with us anyway to premiere her new musical that she wrote called Fuck 7th Grade. And Fuck 7th Grade is going to have to wait for a couple of weeks. She will be back to virtually premiere that. But in the meanwhile, tomorrow night, we thought it too great an opportunity to give a tribute to Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who we all know we lost last week. And Jill Sobule will be with us with some of her fabulous friends in a musical tribute, and we're really excited about that. Chris is going to show the link to all y'all up in the comments section. We have a Facebook event that you can let us know that you're going to be with us tomorrow night. We're really thrilled about this. Jill is a wonderful musician. I'm sure you know from I Kissed a Girl was one of her hits, and she always says herself she was not a one-hit wonder. She was indeed a 2-hit wonder. So join us tomorrow night for something I think will be very empowering and entertaining all at once. And then also coming up in the near future, we have Denise Froman. Denise Froman is the organizer of Poets for Puerto Rico. We have Carly Usden, great renowned filmmaker. We have David Brzezinski, folk artist, will be back with us to do a Get Out the Vote sing-along. We're really excited about that. This wonderful documentary, if you haven't seen it yet, on Netflix, Disclosure. It's about the transgender experience in mass media culture and film. And we're going to have a great panel about that. The author of this book, The League of Wives, Heath Lee. This is the untold story of the women who took on the U.S. government to bring their husbands home while they were POWs in Vietnam. And Reese Witherspoon, her own self, just optioned the rights to this book, so we're very excited about that. Katha Pollitt from The Nation is going to be with us, wrote this great book, Pro Reclaiming Abortion Rights. Ryan North just adapted this, a graphic novel of Slaughterhouse, Pulitzer Prize winner, not too shabby. Representative Malcolm Kenyatta, who I'm sure you all saw a couple weeks back, giving the LGBTQIA keynote address at the DNC, is also the first openly gay Black legislator in Pennsylvania. And this handsome fellow, Lou Diamond Phillips, will be with us. This is surreal. Lou Diamond actually called me the other day, and I was on the phone, not with his agent, not with one of his reps, not with his publicity person, but he called me, and I have to tell you, throughout 150 episodes, one of the most surreal moments, and it was pretty wonderful. You may know him from all his acting gigs, his directing, his films, his TV. He also is an author, by the way, of some really great science fiction novels. But all of that, all of the work he's done, directing, acting, and authoring, has a real social justice bent to it. It's all about representation to him. So we're going to have a great conversation. So it's not just because he's pretty, but that is certainly a bonus, right? Also, coming up, we have Mike Hotpence. The night of the vice presidential debate, which is October 7th, Mike Hotpence has agreed to be back with us to do another variety hour. If you saw the variety hour he did about a month back, it was phenomenal. And we're thrilled to have him back as kind of an appetizer for the vice presidential debate. So please join us that night as well. And that's all I got for you. And that's a lot, right? That's pretty exciting. That's just highlights of what we have coming at you right up until the election. We want to have some really empowering, entertaining, some really meaningful, and some really fabulous programming for you as we journey through up until the election to make sure that we are all together in community, building and fortifying ourselves. And that's what tonight is about. So without further ado, I'm really thrilled to welcome to our virtual stage Peabody, Writers Guild Award, Emmy Award winning, in the room at last week tonight with John Oliver, but then moved forward and wrote some incredible children's books, and all of which have this incredible message to them. Everyone Gets a Say is about voting, came out about a month back, that someone new dealt with immigration and new forest creatures entering into the woodlands, and of course, A Day in the Life of Marlon Bundo, which was about wonderful representation of gay rights and love between everybody, all in the form of lovable woodland creatures. And this is what Jill herself said about Marlon Bundo. When we saw that the Pences were coming out with a book, we thought we could use that opportunity to support some really great charities while also hopefully putting out an inclusive, loving children's book in the process. Sometimes it's hard for kids to deal with feeling out of place or having a family that looks different than that of their friends. I hope, Jill said, that there's just a little comfort for those kids in this book about two boy bunnies who love each other. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming to our virtual stage, Jill Twiss.
Hi.
Hey, Jill, how are you?
I'm great. How are you? Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's been long gestating, right? I'm going to call you out right now and tell folks. So Marlon Bundo, and he wrote 3 great books, but Marlon Bundo is the one that first blew up. And I have to tell you, I'm going to tell you something right here for the first time. Marlon Bundo was the first book that we got for our social justice library when we opened the center.
Oh, I love that so much. It was such a cool and weird experience. Can I say on a side note before I forget that I love those postcards so much?
We'll get you give us your address and we'll be glad to send you some.
Oh my God. I have 100 postcards here that I'm sending to voters. And then right next to me, I have all of these letters that I've written to voters. Obviously, I'm a little stressed out and I'm taking it out on the U.S. Postal Service, but I love those postcards. They're gorgeous. So I just wanted to say that. I love that book was in your library. I think that's amazing.
And it was bought by my mom. I have to say my mom is, the most wonderful person and taught me to do the work I do. And the moment we finally had a physical space that book showed up at our doorstep, and then we got 2 more copies, and you can never have enough copies of Marlon Bundo, by the way. So we're thrilled to have them all. So thank you for all you've done.
Oh gosh, well, thank you so much. We were shocked at how excited people were about the book, and it just has really been an amazing joy in my life to find kids that are reading it, and adults, honestly, that it's made a difference too, and to be able to give everything to the Trevor Project and the AIDS United, and it was just such a cool experience in every possible way.
So let's talk about that, your origin story, your radioactive spider that bit you, and from being a writer in a writer's room at TV shows and working on stage and doing all that, to this metamorphosis of becoming an incredible children's book author.
Sure. So, yeah, I was a writer at Last Week Tonight, starting at the beginning of the show. So I started there in 2014 and was there from the first episode. And we pitch all kinds of crazy things. So I would say 99% of the things that you pitch on a TV show just can't happen or don't happen. But one thing that I was super into was, and still am super into, as you might notice, is cute animals with really good names. And so I was a huge fan of Marlon Bundo, which, for people who don't know, Marlon Bundo is the vice president's actual bunny. So I had followed Marlon Bundo, the bunny, on Instagram. I was like keeping up with everything Marlon Bundo, the bunny, did. I was a big fan. And then one day we got like a press release, I think, saying that the Pences were going to write a book about Marlon Bundo. And I had this weird feeling of like I was super territorial about it. I was like, no, you can't. I want to write that book, which is objectively insane. That doesn't make any sense. It's not my bunny. But I decided to pitch it to the show. And I just wrote an email that basically said, no, I think we should write a book about Marlon Bundo. And insanely, I got an email back that said, okay, let's do it. And we had a quick meeting that was just sort of to talk about whether we wanted it to be, kind of one of those like adult kids books that's like mostly really for adults, or if we wanted to write a real children's book. And we decided we should make it a real children's book because we all disagree very strongly with Mike Pence's stances on gay marriage, with the way he handled the AIDS crisis in Indiana. We knew that we wanted Marlon Bundo to be a gay bunny, just like I'm sure the real Marlon Bundo actually is. And that was sort of what we left it at. And I went back to my office, and I sort of decided to just write something so that way my bosses could be like, oh, now that we see it, we don't want this, we want this. Or, sometimes the easiest way to figure out what you want is to just give them something they don't want. So I wrote a story about Marlon Bundo falling in love with another boy bunny named Wesley. And I turned it into them so that way they could give me an idea of what they actually wanted. And they went, oh, great. Yep, we'll publish this. So I'm sure, we changed a couple words here and there, but basically the thing I sat down and wrote that day turned out to be the book, A Day in the Life of Marlon Bundo.
See, and this is what I love. I love this story because it's one of those things where doing this work has made me a real believer in serendipity. And when you have a strong message, you have a loving message, you have a message of acceptance, and you have the right audience to receive it, then it all works out. And I love, and I didn't know that. It makes me fall in love with the book so much more, and fall in love with you as the author so much more. And it's just, I think it was pitch perfect from the get-go, that you decided to do it as a true children's book, as truly reaching out to kids, because that's, and we've learned through, Ibram Kendi's work with Anti-Racist Baby. He did How to Be an Anti-Racist, and then he did a board book, Anti-Racist Baby, and you realize that that's where we need to really focus our attention so much, is making sure our kids, one, learn to love and to accept, and they're ready to hear difficult things, and they're ready to accept difficult ideas even more than adults sometimes.
Absolutely. I mean, I think I didn't know it at the time. I never intended to write children's books, although in retrospect, it's kind of what I was aiming toward, for a long time. And it's something I love. But there's something when I can get very, I would say, discouraged by what's going on in the world. I can get very cynical. I can get very down on the news. And the thing that is always hopeful is when you start to talk to kids, and I don't think adults are great at changing their minds. I don't think they're great at hearing new information and taking it in. But kids are amazing at it. And so, you give a kid a book about two boy bunnies and they don't think anything of it. Okay, the boy bunnies fall in love. They get married. Someone that's a real jerk tries to stop them from getting married, and all their friends get together and they help them get married. I just don't think it's hard for kids, but I think that that's where in some difficult times we can find hope, is you just look at the next generation and you realize that they're not having trouble with these things at all.
Right. And so Marlon Bundo comes out, and when do you know before it comes out, we have something special here? Did you know you had something special that you thought was special? Did you know that it was going to blow up? And if not, when did you know it was what it became?
No, I mean, we didn't have a clue in the world. Of course, I, have so much faith and am so regularly impressed by my boss, John Oliver. I knew that, first of all, I knew that they weren't going to let me write something stupid or horrible. I knew that he was going to do a great job with it. I knew that, to me, there were some special things in it because we got to pick an illustrator. His name is E.G. Keller. He lives in Colorado. I had never met him at the time, but his illustrations were so full of heart and so beautiful that I knew it was something I was super excited about. But we do a show every week, and we do really cool things, but they don't all take off. And what happened was that this did, and it was all, I should say this was all a secret. And so I wasn't allowed to tell anyone. My parents didn't know I had written a book. Nobody knew I had written a book. My book agent didn't know I had written a book. I had signed with her over something else entirely, a book for teenagers. And she didn't know this was coming. I had to call her up the night before and say, I can't tell you anything else, but I have a book coming out tomorrow. I'm so sorry. It's very awkward that I couldn't tell you that. And then the book came out at the moment they made the announcement. That's when everyone, including bookstores, found out about it. And we had sort of asked around to get an idea of how many books to print, just to get an idea of if this does well, how many might it sell? And I don't know exactly what we came up with, but I do know that it sold all of the ones that they had printed in the first few minutes. And it turned out that they had to reprint and reprint and reprint. And I think it was probably, terrifying for the publisher. But we were unprepared for how well it was going to do. And I was a million times unprepared for how well it was going to do.
But I mean, talk about happy surprises. I mean, that's just phenomenal, and it's nice to hear that someone like John Oliver, who has been keeping many of us sane, below these past months and years, really is on the side of, equality and justice, even in the office and in the hallways and in the writer's room, and had the incredible intelligence to trust you to write what you wrote.
I think we all just try to do the weirdest, silliest things we can do and try to make big moves. And mostly they work out. Sometimes they don't. But we could not have been more thrilled. And to be able to, like talk to someone at the Trevor Project and to know that like the show's going to get to write them a big check is very exciting for us.
And that's the other thing, right? So the first book comes out and it's for a charity, and it makes a huge difference in its message, but also in what it brings to people to help with their programming. And it's still very popular. It's still incredibly, a bestseller. And we have this book and your two other books on our bookshop.org list, our Power Hour list, all the authors that are on this show. We have the books, and Chris is putting that link up for you in the comment section, everybody. And we really we encourage you to buy all three of the books. Marlon Bundo, Everyone Gets a Say, and The Someone New. They're all really wonderful, and we'll talk about the other two in a moment. But the thing we like about bookshop.org is that they give back to independent bookstores. So although they've been growing, they actually started around the time that we started the Power Hour. So I'd like to watch them grow. But as they do, they're still keeping true to their mission of making sure they give back to independent bookstores and authors. So that's why we chose them to have our list. And all the books are there. Go buy them right now. And as I say, buy them for yourself, buy them for a friend, buy them for an enemy who'll become a friend. Buy them for your family, chosen or otherwise. And this is a great book. Make sure that your local school district has these books, especially elementary schools and even middle schools, I think, would benefit from it. And last but not least, always, always, always call your local library and make sure they have copies of these books, because there are a lot of families who can't afford to buy every book, and we want to make sure they have access to these important books and these wonderful ideas and beautiful illustrations. I love that you got to talk to the illustrator, and I'm sure you've met since then because you've worked on the other books together as well, right?
Right. Yeah, we had mostly authors don't get to do this, but I got super lucky and got to work with him again. And we didn't actually meet until our second book came out together. So he happened to come into New York City from Colorado, but mostly we text and just, we got very, very lucky. Yeah, well,
the illustrations are obviously so important to a book like this, but they're also so perfectly aligned to your text and to your words. So kudos to that connection as well. So Marlon Bundo comes out, it blows up, and then how does the pivot come? And this is what I love, even more than the Marlon Bundo, which was gestated in the under the auspices of Last Week Tonight. Then you pivot and decide there's more to say, and I have this platform. So how does that come about? And the second book is about immigration. And was there a master plan? Was immigration, was there a discussion about what subject it should be, if any subject at all? And then, is there a plan, and is there another book that we can look forward to? Like, is there a master plan of Jill, or is this all been...
There's never, if you can talk to my parents, because there's never a plan of any kind in my life. It's very much throw out things and see which one works has been my whole plan forever. And so even at Last Week Tonight, I didn't so much pivot into this new thing as I just start adding more and more things that I try in my life, and some of them pan out and some of them don't. But for children's books, what happened is after, understandably, my agent was like, I think you don't write adult books right now. I think you write children's books. And so I sent her a bunch of stories just to, try it out and play around with this new voice that I had and, things that I liked. And the Someone New was the one she especially liked, just sort of for the moment, And for me, it was, it was right in the time when I get really upset or stressed about a thing, I tend to write about it. And the Someone New came about sort of right at the beginning of when Trump was separating families at the border, or maybe the beginning of us finding out about it. And I was just devastated. And again, I sort of felt like kids are the ones you can reach with this, that it's very frustrating. If anyone's ever had a conversation with anyone on Facebook, it's really difficult to change adults' minds, even with facts, even with, all the information, even with all the empathy in the world. I'm not here to say it can't happen. I devoted my life to doing it in different ways, but I knew that for kids, there was something there that they could really understand. And to me, it sort of comes down to, we're all a little scared of new things. Whether you're a kid or you're an adult, whether it's trying a new food or whether it's someone new moving into your country, there's something really scary about, or whether it's a new kid in school, whatever it is, there's something that, even the most open among us are a little scared of something new. And I wanted to write about how that's okay. It's okay to be scared of something new, but that kindness is stronger than fear. It's okay to be scared. It's just not okay to not be kind because of that fear. And that was a message that I felt like kids were open to. And so I wrote that book. For some reason, I can't hear you now.
No one could hear me because I was on mute because I didn't want to disturb you. Because, I've only done 150 of these, so don't think that I can't, make stupid mistakes every freaking night. What I was saying is it's so resonant. And I think you hit the proverbial nail on the head in that fear is so much what is our enemy right now, I think. And we have an administration and people in the highest levels of our government who are fostering that fear, who are exploiting that fear. And it's about immigration. It's about race. It's about, you name it, and what's wonderful about books like this, about the Someone New, is it lets the kids know, who are really the ones who are going to, generate our future. It lets them know that fear is okay. And it's not something that has to make us become hateful. Because I don't think it's ignorance. I think it's fear. And I think if we can overcome that fear and show people that we're all just the same, it's just a matter of, it's just so resonant. It's a beautiful book. And I want to thank you for bringing it to us, because I think that more and more it's going to become, I think this is going to become a classic. I think it's going to be one of those books that people look to for years and years, because of the message and because of how beautifully it's done. So thank you for that.
Thank you for saying that.
So the Someone New comes out, and it does quite well, and it has that resonance you're hoping for. And then the next book, how do you decide what the next thing you want to vocalize is?
Sure. This actually had a lot to do with my publisher, HarperCollins, because when they initially read the Someone New, they knew that they wanted the same characters for another book. So my initial deal with them was for 2 books, and we agreed that the second book would be about voting. They knew it was going to come out in 2020. They were going to schedule it. And they knew sort of what I write well about or what I'm interested in. So we knew it was going to be the same characters, which are, I'm going to tell you their names because that's my favorite part. That's a chipmunk named Jitterbug, a snail named Pudding, 2 otters named Duffles and Nudge, and a butterfly named Toast. So we had the same characters. But actually, it turned out to be really hard for me to write after we'd somehow agreed, and I had 90% of the work done for me because we knew it was going to be about voting, and we knew who the characters were going to be, I turned in probably 7 or 8 stories, and I just was miserable because I was trying to find what I thought kids needed to know about voting. You know, I think there's a lot of great messages about voting, about like how voting is your civic duty, but I don't want to tell that to a 5-year-old. You know, I think there's a lot of messages about, you know, the Electoral College and how it works and, you know, all that stuff. And that's not what I want to tell a 5-year-old either. And finally, literally 7 stories in probably, I realized that the thing a kid needs to know is that voting is a way that even the quietest voices have the same say as the loudest voices. And even, you know, the people, the animals with the most power have the same vote as those with the least power. And it sort of came down to me going like, what do I want kids to know? And what do I want kids to fight for? You know, what do I want them to grow up and believe in? And to me, it's the idea that everyone gets a say, that especially for kids who aren't always the coolest kid or the loudest kid or the whatever. You want to know that there's a system out there where your voice matters too. And that's what I wanted to write the book about.
And here it is, have your say. And I mean, there's so many little touches, and I'm kind of wonky, and I love process. So I want to ask you some things, like how much of this illustration is what you give to your illustrator, to your collaborator? How much did he come up with on his own? Like for example, I love the fact that the hole is acorn shaped. I think it's such a great little detail.
I think that specifically was him. It's such a good question because it was something that I did not know going into this. When I wrote Marlon Bundo, I wrote a list of what I wanted every illustration to look like. And they sent that to the illustrator because in that case, like, we were the bosses. And then I went and got a contract to write another book, and I found out that's not how it works at all. That is not my job. That illustrators are amazing professionals who are much better at coming up with ideas for pictures than you are. And your publisher has ideas, and that's not my job. So 99% of everything you see in the illustrations is E.G. Keller, and sometimes my publisher's ideas. That said, because he is my friend and because I love it, there are little things in there that I have asked for, that sometimes they'll give me, which I love. In the Someone New, in like the first 2 pages, there are books on the floor of Jitterbug the chipmunk's house, or den, or whatever he lives in. And I got to name those books. You know, I wrote in my thing, like, I would like, you know, we had one of the books was called Crazy Rich Acorns. And it's just something I love to do. And I'll see if I can find it. And Everyone Gets a Say, one of my things that I asked for, was that when they vote, there would be signs. And you probably can't see it, but I asked for a sign that said "I'm with fur," to, you know, be back to the, reckon back to Hillary's "I'm with her" slogan. But almost all of that is done without me, and then I just get to look at it at the end and marvel at how much funnier and how much sillier and how much more heart the drawings actually turned out to have than what I imagined. But I do get to give a note every so often about a thing that I am dreaming about. Oh, there's another thing that I asked for in Everyone Gets a Say. It's about a snail named Pudding. And we had to put his house in there. And I just asked that he'd have a little mailbox that said snail mail. So this is why I don't get to make all the illustrations, but it's something that that I do get to do, or I do get to like push for and ask for.
So how about so I love this because, you know, we go to vote and we get stickers that say I voted, and the animals get stickers that say I said.
Yes. Yeah, because one thing that we tried to stay away from in the book was using the word voting a lot, because again, they're 5. And so I was trying to find out, like, what is the word for voting if it's not voting? And to me, it was having your say. And I'll show you, actually, because I think they're right next to me, that I got stickers made that are just like the turtle sticker, so that for people who are voting by mail this year, as many people are and should, you won't get a sticker. And that's devastating. So if people want to contact me, I will mail them a sticker that they can wear after they voted that says I said, so you can be just like the turtle.
That's beautiful. But between you and our craftivist friend Kyle, she actually just made stickers too of the postcard we showed. So we'll send you a sticker of the vote postcard that you love, and we'll get you all connected.
And I'll send you back a sticker. Amazing. We'll do a giant sticker exchange.
I love it. So I was hoping you'd mention that. So yeah, so you had printed up these I said stickers. So, when we go in, we wear these things and then we post it on, all our social media tools of the devil. But that's actually a good way to use it. So we can have these stickers that I said, and I think that's lovely. That's lovely. So is there another book? May I ask? Am I allowed to ask? Are you allowed to say? Is there?
I mean, you can ask anything you want. I am writing other books. That was that deal. I have a dream that of writing a sort of fact-checking book with those same characters, just to sort of teach kids how to. It sounds like I cannot think of a worse sounding book than a fact-checking children's book, but I'd like to write something to just teach kids from the beginning how to learn to vet their sources, and how to, just because someone says something doesn't mean it's true. Just because someone says something on a screen doesn't mean it's true. Here's how you start to find out. But that's just a pipe dream right now. I'm also trying to write a series of children's books about 2 penguins. As you might notice, I like penguins.
We'll get to that.
2 penguins named Gumbo and Hiccup, who are such good friends that they can't tell each other apart. So I'm working on it. Who knows if anyone will ever publish it, but if they don't, I'll just put it out somewhere.
Hey, maybe it'll be the Bard Wrestling Center for Social Justice Press. Maybe it'll be our first publication. We'll talk. But it must be hard for you right now. You're working on these books that have this social justice bent, that have this message, and hopefully in 40 days there will be there'll be an election, but hopefully it will go in the way of truth, in the way of justice, and it must be difficult for you to parse out what will need to be addressed in the ensuing months. Is that a conversation that you also have?
As far as like for books, or just
in general, we all think that, but when you're talking about a book which is on a schedule, which is going to be published however many months after it's even completed, you have to think about where is the nation going to be? Where are people going to be? What are they going to be thinking about? What's going to be the message they're going to need to hear? Right.
Yeah. Well, and I think sort of the wonderful thing about books is that they're forever, that there's something that's, I think, bigger than, especially when we're seeing, 24/7 news, and you could have, 40 million breaking newses a day. The idea that you can base a book around a moment in the news is incomprehensible now. But yeah, a book takes my books came out very quickly. But generally probably a year and a half to 2 years after you wrote it and turned it in. So if I turn in something now, it might come out in 2022, could be later. And so Yeah, I think what's interesting is that we're living in a time where it's not just about books. Like literally every artist has to ask that question. You know, I'm writing a film right now, and those take a long time to make. And I sort of have to go, are people going to be wearing masks? Is that a thing that I need to be doing in my film? Are we in such a new normal that there are going to be certain things that are going to be in every movie now? And do I have to be able to predict that now while we're in the middle of the insanity? Because I think the temptation is to be like, and then in 2 years, everything will be back the way it was, but it won't be. We just don't know how it's going to be different. And when you're trying to like predict the art people will want then, it's sort of taking this like leap into like what's your best guess as to what might be normal. And I think that's true for kids' books as much as it is for anything. You just have to take your best guess. And also for me, I have to do it with a little bit of optimism that we're still going to want to read books, that we're still going to be like, everything right now feels like we have, you know, it takes a lot of hope just to think that in 2 years we're all going to be around and wanting to be reading books to our kids. And I think we will. I think we do, but I'll feel a lot better in a couple months when I have some evidence of that.
So all these books all came about in a very, very quick succession, and it was a wonderful thing. But in a previous life, I was an artist as well, and the creative process I understand completely. So I'm sure there were projects left on the table for you in that time as well. There were things that you were thinking about doing, inspired by, that kind of got left by the wayside, or there are things that you are looking to kind of regroup on. And if I may be so bold, there was something I came across in something you were talking about. You had been previously talking about the idea of doing a musical about Seneca Falls. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is that still something we might see? Because it sounds like a wonderful idea, I have to be honest.
I hope so. Although what you will see, I think, will be a play about Seneca Falls. What happened was well, just so people know, when I say about Seneca Falls, I don't mean the town of Seneca Falls. If you don't know, in 1848, a group of women got together and they held essentially what was a women's rights convention. But it turned out to be the first time that women ever asked for the right to vote. And I had a meeting with someone who was like, have you ever wanted to write theater? And I said, yes, because I always say yes in those situations, even if I don't know. And he said, what do you want to write about? And I said, the Seneca Falls Convention. And I don't know why. I didn't know anything about it. But then I got home and I Googled, and I found these crazy women that I loved. The first thing I read was about a woman named Martha Coffin Wright, who was 41 and pregnant and read a humor piece. And I was like, these are my people. I would love to hear about this weird woman who's 7.5 months pregnant and decides to read something hilarious to a bunch of Quakers at the Seneca Falls Convention. I remember reading about Elizabeth Cady Stanton and how she wrote a letter to Susan B. Anthony that said, I gave a speech today that was so good I made myself cry. And I went like, that could be Amy Schumer. That could be, that could be anyone. These women deserve a comedy. So I went to write a musical about them. And it just turned out that it takes so long to write a musical and to find the perfect composer and to find the perfect, and I got to the beginning of this year, which this year, as I'm sure you know, is the centennial of women getting the right to vote. And I went like, this has to get finished this year. I have to do it now. I'm going to make it a play. And I did. And I wrote it. I just see that someone commented the women plus Frederick Douglass. And they are so right. I want to point out both positively and negatively, the convention ended Elizabeth Cady Stanton asked for women to get the right to vote to be added to the list of the Declaration of Rights and Sentiments, and they voted it down. They said no. And what happened was Frederick Douglass got up and made a speech about women deserving the right to vote. And they changed their minds and they voted for it because of Frederick Douglass, which I just think is really cool and weird and interesting. And also, it goes to show you that sometimes a woman says something and no one listens, and then a man can get up there and say it again. Granted, it was Frederick Douglass, the best orator of his time. And he made all the difference in the world. And they ended up, for the first time, requesting the right to vote, which at the time was an insane thing to ask for. These were the crazy liberals of their time. And even amongst crazy liberals, asking for the right to vote was insane. These were the abolitionists. And they all said, we're going to lose abolition if you ask for the right to vote, because people are going to think we're so insane they won't listen to anything we say. So this was the beginning of women being asked to take themselves seriously and being asking everyone else to take them seriously, because they'd spent decades fighting for other people's rights, and now they were going to try to fight for their own a little bit.
I love it. I'm so glad that. I want to make sure I heard correctly. You said that the play's actually written. It's
written. It is. Yes, I finished. I locked myself in my apartment, basically for the month of February, and wrote it, and then turned out to be not a great decision because I then had to lock myself back in my apartment as we got into the pandemic, and I was a little stir crazy, a little faster than everyone else was.
I think you and I have to talk, because if there's a play about Seneca Falls that you've written and it's just sitting there, I think there's something we need to do with it. I think that sounds like there's a gem waiting to be discovered.
I can't wait for theater to come back. We are now in the process of, I would love to have you see it and to chat with you about it. We're in the process of sending it out to people as they start to plan for beyond the pandemic, for a time when people can gather together again. To be clear, it's a comedy. It's a very modern sounding comedy about the Seneca Falls Convention. So I'm sure there are also some very super serious, super inspirational works out there about the convention too. Yes,
but that's not you, and your voice is extraordinary, and it's individual, and that's a huge piece of why I think that this could be a very important piece. I think that you brought your voice now to 3 books that have made tremendous difference in very different areas that needed to be expressed and shared. So when I read that you were thinking about this, and now knowing that there's something out there in some form that I think people need to see and hear it. I want to say to our community, you have to understand that for performers like Jill, that she's an author, but her work needs to be produced. Right now is a very difficult time. So if you weren't inspired enough hearing about these books whilst we've been talking about them, then understand that the support you can show to Jill, because of the love and support she's shown by being here tonight with us, by purchasing 1 or even 2 or all 3 of these books, whether for yourselves as a gift, would be a tremendous thing for so many different reasons. So I highly encourage it again. And again, Chris has thrown up the link in the comments section, and it's a pretty easy link. It's bookshop.org, and then it's the Power Hour. Jill, it's been such a wonderful, wonderful time. And before you go, though, we have to talk about the Penguins.
Oh, sure.
So, has the Penguins always been, I don't want to say an obsession, because that is a psychological term, so I don't want to put that on you. But here's what you said, and I think you wrote this. This might have been in the New York Times. A couple weeks ago, I went out to the Long Island Aquarium, where they let you pet penguins. You literally get to go and hang out with penguins in their fun penguin world. They came up and they bit my knees, but in a good way, not a scary way. And they tried to crawl in my bag, and it was the best thing I've ever done in my life. I don't have children, so it's fine to say that.
You know, it's one of those, I love penguins the amount that I think is normal to like a specific animal, but I think when you like something, people tend to adopt it as part of your personality, and suddenly that's every gift you get. And then all of a sudden you accidentally have an apartment filled with penguins, which is very true for me. Yeah, I cannot recommend. I think they're back open, actually, the Long Island Aquarium, but they have something called the Penguin Experience, which costs extra, just so you know. I think it's like $50, but it was like the best thing I've ever done. I thought I was going to be disappointed, and that it would be sort of like you get to go and like wave at a penguin. No, you get like 45 minutes to hang out with the penguins, who seem to want to hang out with you, which was the delightful part of it. The other part I was worried about is that, you know, we were scaring wildlife or making them uncomfortable, but no, they would like open the door and the penguins would just come running to hang out with you. So it was really cool. And at their houses, you are not allowed to touch the penguins because that's their house, but they will take one that's especially excited, and they'll take it around and you can pet the penguins. So really good deal. Very much enjoyed it. They're not paying me to say this. They should though, because I think a lot of money.
Commission. And so how long until Webster's adopts the word friendgwin, right? That's friendgwin is the word, right?
Yeah, I think maybe tonight.
All right.
I'm guessing. I don't know. I assume they're on the live stream, and I assume that they will put that in the dictionary right now.
I like that. And it's good. It would be a good Scrabble word too. There's a lot, a couple of good bonus point letters in there. So
yes, very good.
Jill, this has been delightful. As I intimated when you first came on, we have been long gestating this appearance. When we opened up the center physically in Princeton, New Jersey, I reached out to you, and there was some Twitter flirtation, and then there were a couple of emails back and forth, and then we both got incredibly busy doing wonderful things, and I'm so glad that this moment allowed us this time, and it's been as wonderful as I hoped it would be. So thank you so much for your time tonight.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad we finally got to do this.
All right. You be well, and we'll talk soon.
Great. Thanks.
All right. Best to you and your family. So everybody, that's Jill Twiss. And again, I want to show you Marlon Bundo, as I'm sure you're aware, because it was a huge, huge cultural phenomenon. Buy this book if you haven't already. And if you've bought it already, buy it again or buy it for someone else. Have Your Say is honestly equally delightful, if not even more so, and pivotal right now. I mean, a gift you can give someone with an I Said sticker, with a pack of 5 postcards to get out the vote. Buy these books. Buy these books. And then the last one, the middle child, is the Someone New, which deals with immigration and welcoming new ideas and new creatures into our lives, which we should all do on a daily basis. So all 3 of these books are worthy additions to your library, and will make a lot of people very happy and very inspired as well. So thank you, Jill Twiss, for being with us. And speaking of Jill's, please do join us tomorrow night, when we will have Jill Sobel with us, and she'll be doing a concert with some of her friends in musical tribute to Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So join us for that. Same time tomorrow night, same time every night, 7 p.m. We're here, building community, empowering, enlightening, and hopefully just a little tiny bit entertaining. But whatever it may be, I want to thank you for joining us, because you give me a tremendous source of solace and strength by being in community with us. So thank you all for tonight. Thank you all for every night. We'll see you again in about 22 hours, in about 55 minutes. Until then, be well, be good. Take care of your friends. Take care of your family, chosen or otherwise. And most especially, my friends, take care of yourselves. Until tomorrow, much love and respect. Be well.